My roommate stole my couple's shirt, met my boyfriend, and even took my lingerie. There were 5 of us living in the dorm at university. At the beginning of the semester, even though the pandemic made the school feel like an isolated island, at least we could still freely move around the campus, and our social circles were limited to classmates and professors. The atmosphere in our dorm was warm and harmonious. And I'm an outgoing person, always involved in various on-campus and off-campus activities. Every time I'd meet new friends, making my college life fulfilling and happy. Later, our class started electing student council officers. I decided to run for the position of sports department officer, hoping to contribute to the class and earn some credits. And at that time, the imitator, this is what I called her, seemed to take an interest in me as well. And that she also signed up for the same position. When I found out, I thought it was perfectly normal. And what as everyone has a right to pursue their own goals. I even joked, looks like we'll be competing internally. At that time, everything seemed natural and ordinary. Due to the pandemic, my parents, who were far away, were particularly worried about my eating situation. And that's so they sent me a huge box of snacks and 2 boxes of fresh fruits grown in our family garden. And these fruits were lovingly tended by my grandmother. And there was so much that I couldn't finish them by myself in months. So, Hel and I often carried these little gifts and shared them with students on my floor, whether they were familiar or strangers. This way, everyone quickly became familiar with each other and our relationships grew closer. Eventually, I was elected as the sports department officer, considering that the imitator might feel upset or dissatisfied, a way which could affect our roommate relationship. I specially left a bunch of snacks and fruits on her desk as a little comfort. When she came back and saw this surprise, a rare smile appeared on her face, and she thanked me repeatedly. In that moment, I thought that our relationship would always be so harmonious. However, that's when the real trouble began. One time, before a dorm inspection while I was cleaning up everyone's desks, I accidentally saw the imitator's computer screen on Eva, which was still logged into her social media account. Anyway, what shocked me even more was that her contact list had the same nicknames as mine. Since I'm a huge fan of anime, I like to give my friends unique and fun nicknames, and I even detailed our class information. At that moment, F and I almost thought it was my own computer. But when I looked closely, I realized my own computer was sitting right there in its place. Had I remembered borrowing her phone once to log into social media to play a game. So maybe she liked my nickname style and copied it. I thought it was just a small thing and didn't pay much attention to it. As time passed, at Heville, since I was connected on campus and often invited to participate in various activities and competitions, Hadef and I spent most of my days replying to messages in the dorm. One day, while I was focused on chatting, I suddenly felt a chill behind me. When I turned around, I saw the imitator, leaning against the chair, staring at my screen with an intense gaze. Her eyes were so fixated on me that it made me uncomfortable. I couldn't help but ask, are you trying to scare me? I quickly blocked her view and asked what she was looking at. But she continued to tilt her head and sneak a peek. Once she saw the content, she asked, "Who are you chatting with?" I explained it was about a competition, Coldal N, and she immediately asked if I could share the contact of the person I was talking to. Despite feeling uneasy, I politely introduced the guy her, and from on they started talking. In the next few weeks, whenever I started talking to someone, the imitator would immediately add them as a friend. What was even weirder was that whenever I was chatting with someone, they would tell me, the imitator is also trying to contact me. At first, I thought it was just a coincidence, but as more people reported the same thing, I realized it wasn't. To avoid this happening again, I decided to buy a bed curtain to protect my privacy. Since other roommates had similar setups, it wouldn't seem out of place. From then on, whenever I needed to have a private conversation, I would hide behind the bed curved, and finally, I wasn't disturbed. I always like to compliment others. Whenever I see someone I know, I'll say something like, "Your makeup looks great today," or "That dress is beautiful, can you share the link?" One time, after I complimented a girl, imitator suddenly gave her a thumbs up and said, "Don't listen to her. She's a hypocrite. She says this to everyone." At first, Ella and I thought she was just joking, but from then on, whenever I was with her and met someone I knew, she would go up to them and mimic compliments I had given. Though it made me uncomfortable, I stayed silent to keep the peace. And at the moment I couldn't stand anymore came before a date. That morning, I excitedly told my roommates that I was meeting my boyfriend. The imitator overheard. Since I was delayed a little by a bathroom break, when I got ready to leave, Ulla and I discovered that the imitator was wearing my couple's shirt at the meeting spot. My boyfriend mistakenly thought it was me and put his arm around her shoulder. When he turned around and saw the truth, and he was panicked and asked her why she was wearing my shirt, she stuttered and couldn't explain herself. Had my boyfriend assumed I must have lent it to her, considering they knew each other, but when they couldn't agree, and I showed up and intervened. Seeing me, the imitator tried to run, but I grabbed her by the hat and pulled her back. "Why are you wearing my clothes?" I angrily asked. She pretended to be innocent and said, "I thought the shirt looked nice and wanted to try it on." I snapped back, "Even if it looks nice, but you should have asked for my permission first." She argued, "I knew you're a nice person and you'd lend it to me if I asked. And so I didn't bother to tell you." The most outrageous part was when, during our argument, the imitator reached out and touched my boyfriend's shoulder, softly saying, "Don't be scared, it's just a misunderstanding." This caused my boyfriend to kneel on the ground, and she knelt down too, without caring about my feelings at all. Reluctantly, I told her to go change the shirt to avoid further misunderstanding. Afterward, my boyfriend kept apologizing since he happened to be wearing the same couple's shirt and by accident, couple with the imitator. back in the dorm to ignore the imitator, and she was quiet for a few days before her old habits resurfaced. At Amaya noticed that my underwear mysteriously disappeared. At first, I thought I had forgotten or hadn't organized things properly. But one night, when I took off my headphones to go to bed, I suddenly heard a faint sound from my closet. It was 2 a.m. in a quiet girl's dorm, and this strange sound made me shiver. And then I carefully approached the closet with a fruit knife and my phone's flashlight. And when I opened the door, there was a shadow inside! The closet was narrow but deep enough to hide a person. I screamed and collapsed on the floor, my heart racing, had me almost fainting from the shock. My roommates woke up, and when we turned on the lights, we found the imitator hiding inside, wearing my socks, winter dress, and underwear. When confronted, she silently crawled out of the closet, taking off the clothes one by one and tossing them at me. I was too scared to pick them up, and after that night, I had a high fever from the terror. My roommates were also afraid to sleep, so they called the dorm manager to handle the situation. After the dorm manager intervened, the imitator confessed to repeatedly stealing my underwear and secretly spying on me. When I asked her why, she bitterly said, "Why does she, who's so fat and ugly, have such a good social life and even found a boyfriend?" This comment infuriated me. Actually, I'm 56 and weighed 120 pounds, which is within the healthy range. On the other hand, and she's only about 5', but weighs 140 pounds and has a round body like a little pig standing up, and she had the audacity to call me fat. Not to mention, even if I'm not the most beautiful, well, to me, it's not like I'm ugly. After everything that happened, I couldn't stand living with the imitator anymore, so I chose to move out and live with my best friend. Even so, the imitator continued to butter up my friends at school, but they had already lost trust in her. I can't help but worry for the roommates who are still living with her, who wondering who'll be her next target. It's truly terrifying to think about.